Konnichiwa, Interneto. Well, it feels incredibly realistic. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And Interneto wa nan desu ka? Matt, you're not touching your boobs today. My name is Shahir Dowd.
And this is the only podcast about movies, specifically the Japanese film Your Name.
And apologies to any of our Japanese listeners listening in right now.
All 5 of you, we've just butchered your language, and I apologize.
Apologize sincerely.
But the good news is we tried, and maybe we got something right.
Is that
good news? Is that good news? Did we do it? Did we win? Did we get
the participation
trophy? Yeah.
I don't think they have participation trophies.
Shahir, I blame coming off the high of our 100th episode. This is obviously Ep 101.
Ep 101.
Which is amazing. We've turned the corner. Our friends have left us. There's no one else in the studio. It's just you and me.
It feels so much emptier with just you and me.
I know.
I feel sadder.
I know. It's almost like our kids grew up and like they moved out of the house, and now we just like walk around like ghosts, not talking to each other.
And we've realized that the only thing holding us together was our kids.
Yeah. And oh my God, we're both drinking tea. Oh no. Well,
and we're going out to Japanese movies together.
This is
on a Tuesday night.
Oh God, what have we done?
We've really turned a corner of our relationship. Episode 110 will be the divorce episode.
Okay, good. And then maybe we'll rekindle, maybe sometime around 120 or something like that.
If you want to know the backstory of how our relationship got to this point, you can listen to all our episodes available on SoundCloud and iTunes. But also, you could write us in. Maybe we'll give you a brief, abbreviated version of how we got to this place.
But from each of our perspectives.
Each of our perspectives. Yeah, we'll definitely what's that show? The Affair.
Oh.
We'll The Affair.
Yeah, there we go.
Where they do each side.
Sure.
You can expect a treatment of The Affair from us if you write us in at Only Movie Podcast.
You're promising a lot.
Yeah, at Only Movie Podcast at gmail.com. Hit us up on Twitter at Only Movie Pod. Go to our Facebook page for some lively, not so much, you and I don't debate like we used to, Matt. We just kind of post things now and ignore each other.
Yeah, because again, we're an old married couple that goes see Japanese movies on a Tuesday night at like 8:45. We should have gone at like 6 to get the penny saver.
Oh, God, that would have been so good. But I also bought the tickets from Costco, so this really...
Oh, my God, it's so true. Wow, this got sad quick.
You can go to... Much like the film.
Maybe. Oh, also, before we get into it, iTunes. We've been getting a lot of lovely reviews since the 100th episode, so keep those coming. We love hearing from you guys and letting you rate us on there and helping us get more eyeballs or earballs on this thing.
So Matt...
Yes.
Let's try and macro this and then get into micro. Macro.
Okay. Matt, that's my name, Matt Kroll.
Okay, micro.
Macro. Mike Kroll and Matt Kroll.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Macro.
Yep.
Japanese films.
They're great.
I mean, you watch a lot.
I used to be more into. I haven't seen a good. I haven't seen many at all Japanese films lately. When I was in my South Korean film phase for a while, I was just sort of touching on all of the different cultures from sort of that hemisphere and not hemisphere. What's the word I'm looking for?
Country?
No, like side of the world, other side of the world.
Oh, hemisphere.
Is it really?
Well,
isn't hemisphere north and south?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, east. I don't fucking know. It's late. We're doing this really late, and I apologize. So there was one film called The Returner.
Okay.
It was Japan's answer to The Matrix. I'm gonna actually look that up to make sure I'm not butchering it. But it's
and obviously you'd be a Final Fantasy fan.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And what's Advent Children was the one?
Yeah, that would be probably my one I've watched the most recently. Right. And then I just watched the new one for Final Fantasy 15 Kingsglaive, which...
Was that actually a Japanese production? Because I know there's a Final Fantasy film that wasn't a Japanese production.
Oh, is that Spirit Within?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the American one. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't have a huge history with it, to be honest.
What about anime?
Oh, yeah, I used to be. I mean, high school, goth and anime sort of went hand in hand. Cowboy Bebop is still one of my absolute 100% top 5 narratives told in any medium. Mm-hmm. Novels, comic books, movies, television, etc. And there's, countless others. I used to be a big fan of Slayers. I used to be a big fan of even the Excel Saga or Escaflowne or a bunch of these that I just really, really loved. I never got into like Evangelion, sorry, or a couple of the others. Although the most recent one I watched, obviously Attack on Titan, which season 2 is coming. Awful movies, by the way. So okay. I hear the first one's awful. The second one might be good. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then what was the most recent one? Sword Art Online. which is a real fun anime until it got a little weird for me near the middle, and then I sort of fell off, but I do have to finish it. What about you? I feel like you probably got a little bit more academic-y.
Yeah, a little bit. Obviously, like film school background, you get into Kurosawa, Uzo,
of course.
Seijun Suzuki. I've been to Japan, and we didn't quite make it, but we got to Yusujiro Uzo's graveyard, the gravesite, and you're supposed to, when you go there, because Uzo was an alcoholic apparently, and it's a sign of respect to leave like a bottle of alcohol or a small.
That's a sign of respect to an alcoholic?
Well, because he died that way, but he was also a great master, filmmaker, and it's kind of like it's a pleasant thing to do for him, like he lived his life, he died like he lived his life kind of thing, as far as I understand. I might be butchering the concept as much as I butchered that first phrase. And then obviously there was a period maybe in the early noughts where Japan horror was a big deal.
Yes.
And so, obviously The Ring, Dark Water was a personal favorite because I just had such a good experience watching that in the theater.
Right.
As far as, and recently the guy I've been really super into is Hirokazu Kurita.
Okay.
Who I think I've talked about on the podcast before. One of my favorite films is Nobody Knows.
Yes.
Son. I was just recently on 2 flights with United or Delta. No, it was Delta. And for some reason, they had his latest 2 films, including a film that just came out this year, which I was really surprised to because I'd heard about it and I was like, oh, it's actually it'd come out a month before this flight that I was on, and it was on the flight.
That makes sense. So there's a lot of that, a lot of, at least from America, foreign film that seems to make it like instantly to planes.
Yeah, it was
one outlet we have.
So the 2 films were Our Little Sister, which was wonderful. I absolutely loved it, based on a manga comic, and the other one was After the Storm, which I didn't like as much, but it was very, he's a master filmmaker. Okay. As far as anime goes, it's not my wheelhouse. It's really not. Even Miyazaki, who I've been to the studio.
Oh, like Howl's Moving Castle is one of my favorites.
I've seen 4 Miyazaki films. I haven't seen Miyazaki. Sorry, Hayao Miyazaki.
I'm going to butcher the first name. I'm just going to stick with what I know.
Okay, all right. I mean, I've been to the Studio Ghibli Museum in Tokyo, and it's a wonderful place. But I haven't seen like My Neighbor Totoro or anything like that. I've seen Ponyo, Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, and Howl's Moving Castle.
I loved Howl's.
I mean, I like all of those films, and I certainly see the wonderment in all of them. But I have to say, it's not like I'm not a manga or an anime fanatic. I don't like obsess about it.
I used to. I just feel like I fell off. I guess when I hit college, to be honest.
There's one film I am particularly obsessed with, and it's called Mind Game, and it's absolutely wonderful, and it's very hard to find a Blu-ray of, but it's directed by Masaka Yuasa.
Okay.
And it's I think you would flip over this movie. It's so good.
Have you watched all of Bebop?
No, I haven't seen any.
Holy shit, dude. That has such fucking like noir fucking mentalities along with just the best soundtrack ever. You'd eat that shit up.
It's funny because when I visited Japan, I had a friend who worked in production in Japan, and she was actually working in production of one of my favorite Vietnamese filmmakers' first Japanese film, this guy Tran Anh Hoang, who was making a film called Norwegian Wood. And she was telling me that as far as Japanese cinema goes, obviously, from a foreign point of view, we get the feature films, and we, and we tend to get like the most popular or the most award winning.
Sure.
But as far as in Japan goes, the TV is where it's at. So
it's kind of starting to be here too.
Yeah, people in TV are more popular, more recognized. TV makes more money.
Yeah.
So it was kind of. She was kind of like, because I came in with like, oh, I love Tran Anh Hoang and I want to see, his new film. And she was like, oh, that's weird because nobody here cares.
So you're telling me we should move to Japan because most of our work is television based.
Yeah. And judging by how well we pronounced our first.
We're going to get along great. We speak Japanese now.
Yeah, pretty much. So when I went to Japan, I tried to learn a few phrases. And the only one I remember is Toire wa doku desu ka?
What's that mean?
Where's the toilet?
I mean, that if out of all of the phrases you could learn, that is an excellent one.
It's the only one I remember. So,
because you're gonna run out of adult diapers at some point.
And I'm really drinking this tea like hard.
A lot.
Yeah,
and I know your body.
Yeah,
you're gonna need that restroom.
I know. I'm gonna need the break soon. But Matt, this was an interesting one for us because this movie is the most financially successful Japanese film of all time. Well, maybe not of all time, but of recent
memory.
Of recent years. This thing has made $235 million in Japan alone. Ooh. It's made $4 million in America.
Ooh.
And to the point where I'm not a statistician, so I was just pulling numbers off Box Office Mojo. But when I looked at the numbers, I was like, holy shit. If we counted Japan's box office gross against America's box office gross for the year, Your Name would be the number 2 film of this year as far as box office receipts go.
So far.
Beauty and the Beast would beat it. Logan would be number 3. It's done better than Logan in America.
Isn't Fast 8 set to overtake all this shit?
It is set too. It hasn't yet. At that point. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I was kind of like, oh my God, that's pretty amazing.
Well,
and I heard so much good press about it.
Yeah. Well, it shows, and we'll get into it when we start talking about the film in its entirety, but it shows a different, man, our cultures are different. Our mindsets of our entertainment is different. This story to me, I'll get into my opinions about it after the fact, but to think that, this could never be a blockbuster.
Yeah, I could see this being a really, a great, not necessarily an indie because it's so.
But the word that comes to mind is indie. You know what I mean? This could be.
Imagine Colossal, the film we do.
Sure, or it reminds me of the scale. If this movie was made live action in the United States, which $10 says they'll make it now because this is so successful in Japan and we're creatively bankrupt. That it would be if it came out before this film and they weren't doing an adaptation. It would be the level of Safety Not Guaranteed.
Right, which is a small movie. I mean, it's like a $10 million movie or something like that.
Which I love Safety Not Guaranteed, don't get me wrong.
I'm not.
I know, we've talked about it. But it's just so interesting, the sensibilities of a Japanese audience as a whole versus the American audience. And when you look at, say, if Fast and the Furious is set to, or the Fate of the Furious is set to overtake and be the number 1 movie this year so far, and then you look at Your Name, I don't think I could think of 2 more, diametrically opposed sort of films or meanings or anything.
I think the word you're looking for is depth.
I was doing a lot of thinking about this because on
the subway ride home, we literally just watched it. But I was about why, again, I've talked about it before. If you want, you can go back and listen to our Fate of the Furious podcast. But I'm wary to say depth. I think there's a difference because there's still, dare I say, and I know this is fucking stretching, I know, but human type relationships, even if they are archetypes in Fast 8. Okay.
It's just, this is a more complicated and for me personally, it connects, for Your Name connects with me more on an emotional level than, say, Fate of the Furious did. That's, I don't want to discount.
Wait, you just don't want to discount Fate of the Furious.
I don't want
no depth.
Yeah, I don't want to discount anyone who still has, for whatever reason, emotional ties to the characters in Fate of the Furious.
Okay.
And I know they exist because I'm friends with some of them.
Yeah.
And
do you think those friends would be moved by Your Name?
If they could sit through a movie with subtitles.
Okay. That's the barrier to entry?
Sadly, yeah. And that's not trying to shit on anybody. I know people just ingest sort of media differently, and I know some people that just do not enjoy reading while watching a film. And it sucks because I feel like if I was one of those people, I would really miss out on a lot of great cinema. I'd miss out on the great film that you got me on the 100th episode, Umberto D, that one of my favorite films I would have never seen because it's in Italian.
It's funny because that's never been a barrier for me personally, but I think it's because of a couple of reasons, a couple of fortunate chances that have happened in my life. One is I grew up watching Bollywood films without really knowing the language too much, so I absorbed a lot of just watching a movie and seeing if I could decipher a story. And then when I was younger, I did a homestay in Tahiti for a little while. Where it was you had to watch French television without subtitles.
Sure.
And I think I did that for a while, just sort of saying, could I understand what is happening in this film without reading? And then I think maybe I am a fairly fast reader, So I think that helps as well. So, because I could tell, I can tell, like, for people who don't read quickly,
Sure.
It's a difficult experience watching a film with subtitles because you're reading and you're not absorbing visually what's happening.
Well, yeah. I mean, I even found in the beginning, before I got my sort of, for lack of a better term, like sea legs, being able to read the words, I was actively not able to look at the beautiful visuals for those first couple minutes.
Beautiful.
And then I was like, oh man, I hope I like get this back. And I did, and I always do, but it's always like, oh shit, like, and I don't quite know where my attention span should go. So I do, I do sympathize with people that just can't get into that flow. It's not something, and it's like any weird, and I know this sounds like we're describing it like it's a super difficult thing. It's not. It's just you have to power through a bunch of movies. I mean, that's basically what you have to do. It's learning to read in whatever direction you learn to read, or like even reading a graphic novel. Like, you don't know the way the panels work until you just do it for a long time.
Not only that, there is an art form to translation. Aaron Mannion Park, who appeared on our Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon episode, has written some papers about the process of translation, and there is a real fine art to translating well, because you're not just translating the text, you're also translating the cultural iconography of the text, and you have to do it in a way that is able to be absorbed quickly by a foreign audience. So it's a real art form.
And any cultural touch points, for instance, you need to make into a different cultural touch point with the same minutia, or not meaning, but the same level of intent.
Yeah, and that happens in this translation as well, which I thought was really, really well handled actually in this one.
And I was so glad it wasn't a dub. I can't stand when I go.
We actually had I don't know if I told you this. We actually had the option to go with a dubbed version. Oh. I'm not sure who the voices are on the dubbed. I'm sure like sometimes they get
Channing Tatum.
Yeah, Channing Tatum doing the voices.
Mila Kunis.
But I opted without even asking you to go for the subtitled version, because that's a big thing for me.
Fuck that. No. You know what I really like about anime or just cinema that's subtitled is I will watch it always first subbed, and then I will watch it dubbed. And then if I like the voices, I will always watch it dubbed, but I will not do that the first time.
Right. There's only one film I can recall that the dubbed version was surprisingly good, and that's Wolfgang Petersen's Das Boot. It had a surprisingly good dub. But Matt, enough. Yeah, I've just been watching Rick and Morty as well.
Is that a Rick and Morty thing?
Yeah.
Wow, it's permeated to the point in our culture that I don't even know that that's a Rick and Morty thing when I'm saying it. Yeah,
no, it's a thing.
Would I like Rick and Morty?
Yes, you would. Rick and Morty, the sidetrack to Rick and Morty is the Futurama for this generation, but it's got a much more clear narrative line between episodes.
Interesting.
It's very,
I
very
should check
good.
it out. It's one of those things that I had it with Bob's Burgers too. It's like I couldn't get past the animation style.
Yeah. It took me a while to get into it.
Once I do it, I feel like I'd really enjoy it.
I'll say this about Rick and Morty is the first episode I wasn't a big fan of, but the second episode where I was like, oh, these guys are good.
Okay.
And then like through 3 episodes in, I like started enjoying the characters as well as enjoying what they're doing with the story.
I'll check it out.
Anyway,
Matt, very similar animations to Your Name.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
By the way, before we get into it, Your Name is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's real good looking.
It is real
like when you're in like a store and you see just like the most like you're not ready, and you turn the aisle and you see the most beautiful fucking human being you've ever seen in your entire, like, it's happened to me once or twice where you're just like, why is this gorgeous specimen in the fucking Dwayne Reed at this aisle right now? I'm like, shouldn't they be in fucking Dubai modeling or some shit? And it's like, this movie hit me like a ton of bricks, like that sort of does. You're looking at it and you're like, Jesus Christ.
I just directed some stuff with a couple of models, and I was like, and it does nothing to make you feel except like a lesser specimen of a human being, where you're just like, oh, this is what human beings are supposed to look like, and I am just the offshoot that I'm the accident. I'm the offshoot of clay that was made to mold this person.
We have faces made for podcasting.
But Matt, with our face made from podcasting, with your beautiful mouth made for podcasting.
Listen, I give great voice.
You got lips, boom, boom, boom. Tell me the plot of Your Name.
You got it. Okay. So, IMDb defines Your Name as two strangers find themselves linked in a bizarre way. When a connection forms, will distance be the only thing to keep them apart? Now, here's a question. I don't remember the last time one of these ended on a question. Like, normally it's very statement-esque. It doesn't ask you, like, will they or won't they? Ooh, looks like Team Rocket's blasting off again.
I mean, I'm sure if this is publishing out to an American audience, it rather than give away the whole story, like, why not?
Sure, I guess. Look, this story's cool as shit.
Well, first impressions, what do you think of the movie?
I thought this movie was cool as shit. No, I really liked it. And I love anime that, or to be honest, any story that has a hint of otherworldliness to it. And it's not seeped in it. It's not really where the emotional gravitas comes from. It's a device to get you to an emotional place. And this film has that sort of in the perfect amount. I was going to say spades, but it doesn't. That would feel like it's overdoing it.
Right.
There's a supernatural sort of element to it, which we'll sort of get into as we go, once we hit spoilers. And it was just, it rode that knife's edge so beautifully, and the characters were really fun and human. And I like seeing anime set in a more so realistic sense.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong, Cowboy Bebop and all that shit, like fantastical space operas and, whatever, that's cool shit too if they set up the world properly. But like, even in the beginning of a series, I really like Escaflowne. The main character is just like a track and field high school student. And it's like, and that stuff is interesting to me. No, that Escaflowne is the name of the anime that I'm talking about. Why are you looking so confused?
You lost me. What's Escaflowne?
Escaflowne is a different anime.
Okay.
Keep up, Shahir.
Okay, all right.
But like, what I'm saying is I do like that sort of like, oh, let's take an animated thing and set it into a fairly realistic thing and then give just a little hint of like, oh, this is why it's sort of animated. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I really enjoyed that. Music's beautiful. It does that thing that anime series do where it like once it starts it had like an opening song,
with an opening credit sequence that
which is exactly like a TV show anime but for a film, and then it had a mid song for a little montagey thing, and then it had an end song. So like I liked these little bookended songs. I think the characters are powerful. I think I'm always amazed at good animation directing. Because it fascinates me. I've researched a little bit for a couple little projects I've been doing on the side, and the amount of how different it is from what you and I normally do. I mean, you're more into sort of graphic stuff on your end on occasion, but not like this.
No,
and like just the sheer the producer side of my brain really is like, holy shit, like how do they do this? Like,
I'm not sure if it's entirely hand drawn. I think there's this.
Yeah, I think there definitely is some digital, but I also don't like that doesn't matter to me. Like just keeping track and like not like, you shoot a scene, you can shoot it like 12 different times and you can take your best take and blah, blah, blah. And this is like, oh no, you need to like make sure a team of 40 people does it exactly right. Hopefully the very first time.
Right.
Just from a monetary standpoint, so I don't know. That always amazes me. So I really overall enjoyed it. What about you?
So I did that annoying thing, which is that I went into this with slightly higher expectations than I should have because I'd read such good reviews. I mean, I didn't read whole reviews, but I just read people gushing over this movie.
It's from the man who doesn't watch trailers. You read reviews?
I read like, the first line of a review if I'm kind of like interested in seeing a movie. Or if I don't know exactly what the movie is, I will watch I'll watch a trailer.
Okay.
But I did that thing, which is that I went in with very high expectations. And I got to say, I fell in love with this movie. I think this
you set me up. You rope-a-doped me there for a second. I thought you were going to start shitting on it. We'd have to fight.
No, I absolutely adored this film. And what I adored about it is that I kind of didn't enjoy the first maybe even the first 20, 30, 25 minutes of this movie, which ultimately has like an unusual temporal setup. It kind of jumps in time really strangely, and it takes a little while for you to figure out the rhythm of this movie. But it does this thing, which is that it is setting up a kind of Freaky Friday, body swap scenario, and it's not. It's endearing. It's charming. It has kind of all the sort of fun, light qualities that I would expect, but it wasn't anything that like blew, like I was like, oh, I'm not super into this. I'm just kind of like, oh, this is very cute and it's endearing and it's good.
It felt very standard anime pacing.
Yeah, exactly. But at the 25, maybe 30 minute mark, this movie takes a turn, and then it takes a hard U-turn.
I would say if it's the moment I think you're talking about, I think it's a little further in, but
yeah, maybe a little further in than that. It's when the Freaky Friday scenario kind of gives way to something bigger.
Yeah.
And when it does, I was kind of taken aback by the kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, chutzpah to make a turn this big.
It's ballsy.
And not only that,
it's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see if it works out for him.
Oh, it certainly did. But make such a tonal shift.
Yeah.
And it does it in a way that is surprising because it doesn't feel unnatural either. It doesn't feel like all of a sudden we're in doom and gloom.
Yeah.
It just takes a turn which says, oh, now all the fun we've been having is now going to give way to something
bigger,
and slightly more serious. But you're still going to have fun along the way.
Yeah.
But we're opening the story up into a bigger world. So I was just really taken aback by that. I also, I guess, like you, what I loved about this.
Oh, I like you too, buddy.
I don't like you that much.
You weren't saying. Oh,
yeah, you get what I'm saying. Just keep moving on. If you're crying a little bit, just do it on the inside because it really does bug me. I didn't. It's okay. It's not. It's not very attractive. We've already established you're not a model.
You're no fucking spring chicken either. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. What I loved was that it actually spends a fair amount of time depicting the ordinary life of human beings at the beginning of the film. For a film with such a high concept, it spends a lot of time.
Dare I say, it develops characters
in ritual and process. Yep. And the reason I loved it is, I'd just seen this film, Our Little Sister, the Corrida film, which is really much about a small town and life in a small town, and the stuff that they were doing with Mitsuya's grandmother, the traditions of braids and the special sake that is made by spitting rice. It was like, it's odd, but it's like also you can see that they're really paying respect to the story, and it's done with such a reverence that it really works. But at the same time,
and it also has a plot reason. Like it ties itself together very well.
Yeah, and it also remains fun. Yeah. Like it's constantly fun. Like I'm never not in this movie and not with this movie. So I just from an overall standpoint, before we get to this, I really fell in love with this. I did shed a tear towards the end of this movie. Right. I think perhaps my only criticism is it has maybe one or two beats too long towards the end of the film.
That'd be one of mine as well. Also, it does fall into the tropes, and it's a cultural thing, I guess, man. I don't fully understand it, but there's some parts, especially the stuff we were saying in the beginning. There's some boob grabbing.
Yeah,
but not in an overly sort of sexual way. And it becomes a running joke, and it's funny. But then, I can even forgive that because it's like that's sort of tropey in that regard.
What would you have to forgive about it? Like
because there's a long-standing sort of anime trope.
Or even a body swap thing. If you body swap,
sure. No, and that's why. I think that's why it's fine here. But then there's another moment where it's like the main female character is biking up a hill, and it's just like that little bit of like panty shot, and I was like, why? Like you don't like. Why? Like that has such there's such the stereotype of anime, and like if this fucking award-winning, hopefully and incredibly high-grossing film is fucking still, and it's not gratuitous, it's just there because it feels like, oh, this is an anime, so it should have one. And I was like, those are the only two. The beats go on one or two of them go on a little too long, and then like, do you really need to this even hint at the shit that anime gets shit for?
Right. And then the only other minor note is I felt occasionally like Taki.
One of the main characters.
Yeah. The main guy kind of has a passive role in the main story towards the end of it, and it's for a reason. It doesn't not work, but I kind of was like, oh, I wonder if
he doesn't really. He's just in one of the other bodies, so it kind of feels like he does.
He just doesn't have a lot to do other than observe towards the back half of the film when the major event that
Well, no, I would disagree. And we'll get into why. But like the major event, both characters share in, but it's both in the girl's sort of time and body.
It's in her time and body, so she has to kind of.
Well, no, we see her, and that's where it gets sort of complicated. I feel like that's where
right, because he's
controlling it for half of the time.
Right. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah. That it is a complicated thing because the body swap. Suffice to say, goes much further than a Freaky Friday would.
Yeah, more than boob grabbing. One more thing before we get into spoilers, and I promise we will. We've been chit chatting about this for about a half hour before we even talk about the film. Audience wise, so we went and saw this in Times Square. Yeah. Audience was a delight.
It was, except there was one couple that were like really annoying.
You know what? No, they were in the front of the theater. They were an older couple, and they are farther along in their marriage than us here.
Yeah.
And they like, even their dumb like comments like, oh, I can't, oh no, like whatever they were saying.
I don't think they were saying that though. I think they were kind of being more derogatory towards the film. It was like, this is so weird. I don't understand this.
Well,
That's what
I remember that too. But but like everyone else was so nice and like so excited and like really into it. There were people waving their hands and being like, ah, and then you did have that couple be like, I don't understand it. Like they almost felt like the Statler and Waldorf of like Muppets. Do you know what I mean? Like the two guys who sit in the balcony.
I don't see what's happening.
So like, so like I really feel like they just completed the menagerie. Shahir, I shit you not, most pleasant experience I've had in a Times Square theater.
Undoubtedly, yes. We walked away without bed bugs for one, which is great.
Well, we don't know that yet, but we got out of there in a timely manner. Everyone was super like into the film, with the exception of our comic relief older couple in the front.
I will say, it didn't become a hindrance to the film because the film goes much further than this, but I kind of saw one of the plot twists coming.
Oh, I didn't.
Kind of early on.
I don't know.
We can talk about that when we get into spoilers. But it's kind of like, this is just a initial response having just walked out of the movie kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, let's get into spoilers. Let's start.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. So if you're gonna see, if you want the purest. If
you want to know what your name is,
then you should pause us until you go see it.
But definitely come back. Like, don't just turn the podcast off and go, I'm never going to listen to these guys.
No,
again.
because how else will we teach you? We're going to teach you how to body swap at the end of this, and I think you're going to want to know that.
It usually happens by changing clothes, which is what Matt and I are going to do. But if you learn from the last episode, Matt's t-shirts are like 3 sizes too
You'll
small.
never fit into my t-shirts.
I'll never fit.
They'll be your body is too waif-like.
I really need to put on.
You gotta start doing some reps.
Yeah.
Okay. So the movie opens. Now this is the one confusing part, because we've already talked about how it's sort of a body swap film.
Yeah.
The movie sort of opens after its opening sort of musical number showing these two people's lives sort of together.
Yeah, they have a monologue which they seem to share telekinetically, even though they don't know it.
And then the girl, who I'm going to butcher her name, Mitsuya.
Yeah.
She wakes up.
I'm saying that with authority. Even though
sure, let's go with it.
Yeah.
And she gets up and like feels her boobs, and she's like, "Oh my god, they're so realistic." And then you don't quite realize what's going.
I think the thing you're talking about is that the body, there's a metaphysical element to this whole story, right? But the metaphysical two things. One is it's never explained. Like there's no ever like this is why this is happening.
It kind of does.
I don't think so.
It does due to the ancestral stuff about the weaving and the thread and time and all that stuff.
I get.
I mean, does it give you it happened because the particle accelerator exploded?
Yeah, no, it doesn't give you any of that. And the second thing is, it's already happened as the movie begins.
Yes.
So it's like, this movie really does drop you. And then the movie does this is the thing that it really threw me for a bit, is that it does this thing, which is that the body swaps happen once every other day.
Yeah.
For example, you'll wake up this morning and you'll be Shahir, and then the next day, you'll be Matt again.
Right.
And in the very first instance, they don't show you her being him. They just kind of they just allude, oh, you were acting really strange yesterday.
But that's what I didn't get. She did the boob grab in the beginning,
and then we cut to the next day.
Yeah, and it was a day late or 2 days later. Yeah, whatever.
But without like a transition.
So that was confusing to me, and I think they did that just to throw you off the scent.
Yeah.
So Mitsuya is going through her day, and all of her friends are like, "You're acting so weird. Like, what the hell?" And and she's flipping through her notebook at the end of the day or in class, and then it's just written in there, "Who are you?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "What the hell?" And then we eventually get to she goes through and finishes her day, and then we get to Taki, who is Mitsuya lives in a small sort of rural village.
Itamori.
Okay, Itamori.
Yeah.
And then Taki
he lives in Tokyo.
And Mitsuya always wants to go to Tokyo.
Well, I think she has that sort of small town, excitement.
Wanderlust.
Well,
she even yells at one point. She's like, "In my next life, I want to come back as a boy in Tokyo." And it's like, "Oh well, congratulations."
Yeah, that's how it happened. That's how the Freaky Friday situation.
Whoa, make a wish upon a star. Oh, side note: there's a thread as we get through this that there's a comet that's coming past the Earth for the first time in 1,200 years. That everyone's sort of like getting ready to like watch in its like brightest orbit.
Yeah.
Then we're with Taki, and Taki is with his friends, the same sort of shits. Like,
but Taki, we see through her character.
Yes.
Like, so what we jumped over in her in
We don't see Take.
Now, I guess maybe the thing is that in both the case of Taki and Mitsuya in that first case, all we're seeing is Mitsuya's side. We don't actually, and maybe that's the reason they did that, is that we don't actually see Taki as a character
until a little bit later.
Yeah. So we're only seeing Mitsuya both as herself, being confused by like what happened the day before, and then as Taki later on.
Like, this is a dream, and like then like not knowing when school started, or when her town doesn't have a cafe, so when Take's friends suggest that they go to a cafe, they actually go to one, and she's absolutely loving it. And then she's like, oh no, her phone goes off, and it's like late for work. It's like, oh shit, where do I work?
Yeah.
And then she flirts with the cute girl at work, but by kind of accident, just trying to help, and then the girl kind of starts falling for her, and then it's like, falling for her as him.
Yeah.
It's a standard body swap, Freaky Friday, big weird scenario.
And then I think, the movie kind of moves into like, it kind of speeds this whole thing up.
Which is great. It does it just long enough. And then, so they start communicating with one another basically through their phones.
Yeah.
Like sort of, it's funny. They like, this is when the second sort of musical number hits.
Yeah.
And they're like, we set some ground rules. It's like, stop feeling my boobs, and then don't spend all my money.
Yeah.
And then don't ever talk to this person. And then, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. It's cute. It's fun. And it's like, there's a moment I think in there where they say, oh my God, I'm switching bodies. And they're both saying it together. And it's kind of like, you're like, oh yeah, no, I kind of, we knew that, like, it's kind of like where the audience is 2 steps ahead of the characters, which is sometimes annoying.
Yeah. And then like, oh yeah, Mitsuya sets up a date in Taki's body with Taki with that cute girl, but then the date happens and like, it doesn't go well because it's no longer Mitsuya in there. It's now Taki, and it's like, she's not really attracted to him
I gotta
mentally.
say, I'm not sure exactly when the moment hit that I understood that they lived in different times. But I
don't think it hit me until the big moment, because basically what happens
when he calls her, did it hit you then?
I knew there was going to be something off. Like, I didn't quite know what it was. So eventually he tries to. The idea was they left each other notes in their phones to be like to call each other. When they see the meteor.
Yeah. And then
sorry. Doesn't Mitsuya say there's going to be a meteor shower and you call me whenever that's going to be or whatever?
Yeah, and then they don't hear from each other again for another few weeks.
And then Take calls and then nothing, and then they stop switching bodies.
Yeah.
And then we're stuck with Take.
Yeah, and what I knew at that moment that they lived in different times, and the only thing that was like going to confuse me, I was like, as how are they going to handle the cell phone issue? Like, because they both have cell phones, but I knew that either Mitsuya had passed away or
change your number
or she lived in a different era, but then she had a cell phone. So I was like, oh, maybe it's not too far away.
Yeah. So it turns out, Take decides, and with his friends, with that cute girl and one other friend, they go on this like trip because he's been able to draw where Mitsuya is from.
Yeah.
And he like really wants to find her. He basically tells his friends the president is like, oh, I met this girl online or whatever.
Yeah.
And so they're going to look, and they don't quite know where it is. So they take this like train trip around Japan, and they eventually get to a diner that then they recognize the drawing of what's the town again? Sorry.
Itamori.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, what shit? And they're like, oh, it can't be Itamori. And like, why is that? And then you realize that the comet that we were talking about before, the heart of it broke off, or the nucleus of whatever, it broke off and crashed into the city, killing everyone 3 years ago. Wait a minute. 3 years ago.
Is this going to be a thing now?
Yeah, I think so. I have a button.
So here's an interesting fact is that the actual city that is inspired for Itamori is a place called Hida City in the Gifu prefecture.
Okay.
Has now become, this movie is so popular that it's become like a tourist spot. People are going to visit it. And apparently they've made somewhere in the vicinity of $163 million.
Because did a comet turn into a meteor there and actually hit there, or no?
No, it just looks like the place.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, like so the drawings that he made are based off this actual city.
It's like McGee's, the bar in Hell's Kitchen that the writers of How I Met Your Mother decided what the show would be like, and now it's like branded that way, and you're like, okay. I
would have said New Zealand, like after Lord of the Rings, because that's a big tourist dollar. But McGee's, whatever, How I Met Your Mother, okay, that's cool.
Listen, I only go with the most legend. Wait for it. Dairy things to reference, so don't you worry about that.
Oh, legend, I get it. Legendary. That's good. That's clever. How's that working out for you?
It's good. I mean, until the last season, then I kind of whatever. Okay. But that's neither here nor there.
What is here nor there is the turn that has happened in this film. So now we've realized that one of our characters died. And I guess the reason why this kind of like, I was like, oh, this is kind of going in a direction. It was the movie that I kept reminding me of was the Lake House. Did you ever see that film with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock? Where we realize that these two people are communicating through different times.
Okay.
And, or even frequency, I guess. Do you ever see frequency?
What's the one with the mailbox? Is that Lake House?
The Lake House,
okay.
Yeah.
It's a magic mailbox.
Yeah. Well, no, it's more that they.
I've never seen it. I'm making it up.
Yeah, I've never seen it either.
Okay.
There's a beautiful Korean film called Phailan, which is about a man and a woman who marry and who never meet, and it kind of manages to do this sort of two people falling in love in different times.
How do they consummate the marriage?
It's a complicated story, but it's
through a hole in a sheet.
Yeah, that's what they did. There was like this beautiful love story of love transcending time. In the middle of the marriage, you just have a dick coming through a hole in a sheet, and she's going, "What am I going to do?"
I think I've seen this movie.
Yeah. On the internet. Interneto?
Yeah.
Okay. On the interneto. Phailan is a beautiful, it's kind of melodramatic, but it's a wonderful film. But I guess I was kind of thinking, once this change started happening, sure. I had the Lake House and Phailan in my brain. But that is not to say that what is wonderful that this film does from this moment on is it becomes this kind of transcendental meditation of interweaving timelines and how one person can affect another person through time and through time and space.
Yeah.
And it's a genuine relationship. Like I really, the thing that makes this work is that you really kind of connect with Matsuya and Taki. And the thing is, it's not like, to me, it's not romantic. It feels like these two people are connected in time and have a genuine connection. But I guess I kind of saw it as brotherly, sisterly.
I guess. I mean, I would just say just someone the people that they loved each other. There was never a romantic moment really in it with them.
Yeah. It has this sort of wonderful thing, which great time travel movies have, which is that they're trying to like avert the disaster, but it's steeped in this sort of wonderful sense of there is no averting destiny kind of thing, and I guess maybe
I think they avert destiny pretty well.
Well, no, they do eventually, but I guess the film kind of doesn't treat it as a sort of we need to change the fate of time. I guess what I'm saying is it feels like there's a sense that because they don't explain how the mythology worked, we're kind of discovering it as it happens.
Well, they do kind of talk about it a little bit at the end. Again, there's no smoking gun of like the science behind why this is happening, but it does say that Mitsuya's family, the Miyamoto's family, the women in that family seem to always have these sort of very, quote, vivid dreams where they live lives of other people, to the point where one time when Taki is in Mitsuya's body, Mitsuya's grandmother's like, "Oh shit, who are you? It's not you."
It's kind of like Teen Wolf when Michael J. Fox realizes that his dad's a werewolf.
There you go. See? There we go. Now you're speaking my language. But so it's that sort of like, it's just sort of a generational thing. And it's also sort of tied in. This is their loose interpretation. Their family line has sort of more ancient traditions, and they even go traditions that they don't fully know the meaning of, but they know the action of, but due to an accident or something along the line, like they lost like the texts or something. They don't know the why, but they know the how. And so they have to, for instance, like make the sake and leave it at a certain shrine, and all this other stuff. And they're also weavers, and they talk about how thread is like time and blah blah blah. So it's like
kind of like that movie Wanted.
Sure.
With Angelina Jolie.
Sure. Why are you being me tonight? Why?
Because we body swapped. That's what we did. This whole episode, it's been Shahir and Matt's body and Matt's and Shahir body.
Okay.
How do you feel with me being inside you, by the way? Because they say that sometimes during this film.
They say that a lot. They've both been inside each other quite a bit.
Yeah, and I couldn't help giggling like a little boy every now and again. I was like, I want to be the person inside you. And I was like,
they both say that in unison.
And I was like, anyway, yes, that's why.
We're back. We're back now. We're back to our own bodies, because I don't think I would ever giggle like that. But I mean, hey.
And you know what makes this work is the amount of time that they spent at the top of the film demonstrating the the importance of weaving. And it was, they show you this one ritual with the sake, and it's like, it's a beautiful ritual.
It's not shoehorned. It feels natural, and they tie it together so well with the girl that wants to sort of be more than just what her tradition in her small town village.
Yeah.
But they also like make it interesting, and like even people in the town don't fully understand it because it's these old ways and blah 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 blah. And they just make it nice.
It's delightful, and what's cool about it as well is it's delightful, and this is definitely a film. I would say like a PG rating. I don't know what the actual rating of this movie is, but it feels like you could take a kid to this, and it doesn't feel condescendingly kid-like.
No,
it feels very much like a grown-up movie
that a kid might be able to understand,
that a kid would enjoy. Like I think as a kid, I would really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
And I think what I would enjoy about it is that it doesn't feel like it's talking down to me, even though it's about teenagers. Like it feels very mature and sincere and truthful to what it's like to be that age.
So Taki decides, because this happened, he's like, there has to be something, because we're all tied up in these strings of time or whatever, that I can actually do to like this is where it gets a little cloudy for me, but he wants to do something to try to save Mitsuya and just not have her die in this comet or this meteor hitting.
I think what happens is that he realizes that they have a connection to this one place, because he's seen it in her as the day that they went to the underworld, so to speak, with the grandmother. It was actually Taki who did that.
Yeah, so he knows about it. So he knows where to go to find this sake that they put there, the shrine that Mitsuya had done.
Oh my God! By the way, continue with the sake.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say. So he goes into the shrine and he drinks the sake.
The sequence, the sort of liquidy sequence of him like raveling through time with the braid and he basically sees Matsuya's
past, present, and future.
Matsuya's kind of like life growing up. And this is just an extraordinary piece of animation.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful to look at, and it's the rest of the film has this sort of very detailed quality to it.
Yeah.
And this is much more impressionistic.
Yeah.
And it's so I was like I was kind of like in animation heaven watching this scene. I was like, this is so gorgeous.
Yeah. So he passes out, and then he finally, after a long period of time of not doing this, is in Mitsuya's body again, and he begins the process of trying to figure out how to save the town.
And she returns to that site.
Right, well, she returns to his body even though she's dead.
Yeah, well, and what's cool,
but I think time doesn't particularly matter in this.
Well, I think there's like this is and what's cool is that this film manages to do away with the mechanics of time travel by explaining it in this beautiful line, which is that these braids are like time, which is that they connect us together. They sometimes unravel and they reconnect. And so there's this beautiful scene, and I felt my heart aflutter when Matsuya and Taki are in the underworld, kind of looking for each other, but they're in different times. So they can.
We're jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah.
But they can sense each other's presence in front of them, and it's this wonderful like moment when they connect. And I was like, that's just one of those transcendental, beautiful cinematic moments.
Sure, and it's probably the moment that's the least explained. Because like there's like a sunset or something in the background, and like then all of a sudden they can see each other and interact with one another.
Yeah.
And they have this moment where it's like by the way, over this time, and it's probably because Mitsuya died.
Yeah.
They're starting to forget each other. They're starting to forget each other's names. They can't remember each other's names. And also, for whatever reason, apparently that applies to text messages too, because they start getting deleted from
text
phones.
Messages starts getting deleted. Yeah.
So make some hard copies, people. If that's a moral of this story, you print some shit out if you want to keep that.
I felt like it was Back to the Futuring, where like
it was, but it's weird for whatever reason on a phone, even though the principle is still
because the programmer of that app would have had to have like, oh, this is a time message. I've got to, we've got to create a program to delete.
Of course,
that.
Or it'd be a Y2K scenario where it just wouldn't know how to handle the message.
Yeah, but then the whole thing would glitch out. This was more of a like, hey, we know you've been talking to this person in another time zone, but
you didn't pay for that in your plan, and now you either need to be charged, $10 per minute of time travel text.
I would love it if Google Cloud popped up and said, "Would you like to?"
Yeah, which we've both done. We've both done when Google's like, "Hey, you can either not be an asshole and clean out your 15 free gigs, or pay us whatever a year and get 100." And we're like, okay,
I'll do that.
But we're getting off track. So, they, this moment happens and they're able to see each other and they like start to write each other's names. And then only I believe only Take in
No, Matsuya receives the message of the name on her hand, but Take doesn't. And this is the moment where
Right.
Take as a character becomes slightly more passive, because what's happening now is Matsuya has a plan to try and save her town.
Take has the plan to save the town when he's in Mitsuya's body before they even meet up.
This is where
and then so they kind of pass the baton. The plan is, by the way, they work with Mitsuya's friends Tessie and I forget the girl's name.
Yeah.
But the
good research on our part.
Yeah, no, we can get it.
No, we're not. We're not going to get it because we're not going to know which one is which.
Oh, damn. But they decide that they're going to take some explosives from a work site and blow up the power grid to then make everyone evacuate to the high school, which then Take and Mitsuya's body knows is a safe distance from the blast.
Right.
They kind of have a moment of sort of knowledge together when they sort of intertwine on top of the quote underworld or in the crater near the shrine anyway. And then Mitsuya as herself tries to finish the plan.
Right.
And you're not quite sure in the moment, but then all of a sudden, she trips and falls as she's running to try to get people. And then like she looks at her hand and it doesn't say a name. It just says, I love you, which is cute. Also not very helpful. So it's just like, all right.
Thanks, guy.
And then the meteor hits and you don't quite know what happens.
It's a lovely little sequence of like trying to save.
It's beautiful. It's not logical.
Yeah, but it kind of works. I guess, like for me, I kind of wondered if I think I would have been okay because, I have a heart of darkness. I would have been okay if Matsuya didn't survive and the film was really about the railway of time, which is unable to be saved, and this.
No, I'm glad it didn't do that. I wouldn't have mind.
I'm glad it managed to not do that while still not being cheesy, which I like.
But even to the end, I wasn't sure if she was going to live. So even at the end, you learn like the town is saved and whatever. But Take can't remember her name and he can't remember anything about it. Although he has this like tie to this place that like almost got hit by an asteroid, but then like due to like random coincidence, like the people left. Like they have this whole thing.
Yeah.
What really got me was like I was like, Mitsuya could be dead. She might have just saved everybody because the last time we saw her, she fell down.
Right.
So like maybe everyone else got out and she didn't, and that would have been a fine ending. It would have been a fine ending.
That's the thing. This film could have like basically gone in one of many directions.
Sure.
And all of them would have been good because this film, it's rare when a film has you engaged in character and narrative simultaneously to the extent where you just want to see where this ends. It doesn't really matter where it ends. You just want to see it end. And then because you're enjoying it so much.
Yeah, and then it's funny, but then one of the things you brought up in the beginning, how it just sort of like it does drag on a little too long at the end.
I think
there's one or two near misses of Take and Mitsuya sort of running into each other in Tokyo. And then eventually, sort of, unless there's anything else you really want to talk about before we sort of say the final ending, they are on a staircase, and
even then they're still kind of like.
They pass each other, and they stop,
and they have hesitation.
But they've already done that twice.
Yeah, they have hesitation because they're unsure if And he says, "Hey, don't we know each other from somewhere?"
And they both start crying,
and it's a beautiful moment.
It's great.
It is a lovely, it's a tear-inducing moment, and it's a lovely, lovely wrap up to the film. I do think. It took a couple of steps.
A little long to get there.
Well, it just repeated beats a couple of times.
You could have lost there was a scene on a bridge and there was a scene on a train. You don't need it.
You don't necessarily need, I think it maybe would have had more impact had it happened once rather than three times.
Agreed.
But it was lovely. It was very well executed. I have to say the director does an incredible job, being that he is the director and cinematographer and editor and
writer.
His name is Makoto Shinkai, which he has a fairly a strong history in anime, but I have not seen
it.
I have not seen any of these films. I mean, the person in terms of anime that I know that's outside of Miyazaki is Satoshi Kon. who did Perfect Blue. And the other films is Tokyo Godfathers and Grave of the Fireflies. Those are the films I know are meant to be the touch points. Yeah. I don't know much about this guy, but I know that this...
I'll look now.
Yeah, this is the film that has clearly made the most money in Japan's history for a while. So, look, I'll run into my final thoughts here, which is that it is a delightful film. How long was this thing? Because I didn't look at my watch.
No, I didn't either. It looks like it's 1 hour, 46 minutes.
Okay, that's slightly on the long side, but it never dragged. It is.
It's kind of average.
It's kind of average, yeah. It never. I felt. I guess the reason I'm kind of thinking about its length is that there's such a complexity to story going on here. There's such a degree with which the story turns and shifts and introduces new characters and tries to introduces this difficult concept of time travel without really explaining what it is. So there's a degree of complexity to this, which makes it feel rich and full, but it never drags.
Yeah.
So I was kind of astonished by that. I don't wish for a remake of this film. I just wish people would see it as it is.
They're going to do it.
But then it's made so much money.
Yeah, that's why they're going to do it. It's not making that money here. They're going to see how popular it is. They're going to be like, oh, how can we Americanize this? And then they're going to cast fucking white actors in it. And then they're going to...
yeah, let's Ghost in the Shell this thing.
100% that'll happen.
Right.
I will bet you 10 whole American dollars.
Here's my producer question to you. Do you think this would work as a live action? Because part of me goes, I think it would.
Look, I think it could. It'd be a difficult tightrope to walk.
It really needs.
There's something about an animated story like this that makes it a little more magical than if it's people.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's sort of, we're seeing iconography of what people are as opposed to what people are.
It's so Japanese as well. It's such a Japanese story.
So, but that's not going to stop them from trying. If this thing printed as much money as it did, they're going to do it.
I mean, I'm not a big fan of this particular film, but the translation of Infernal Affairs to The Departed is actually a good translation in that it takes
that wasn't an anime.
No, but it takes what was an essentially Hong Kong story and turns it into a Boston story with a degree of respect that I think is good.
Right.
So that's what I liked about that, and I think in order to translate this film, you need a degree of respect for where you're translating it to and making it work.
Yeah, I think that's true of any sort of translation.
There's something, the only last thing I wanted to mention, there's something unique about the fact that this is about a city that entirely disappeared. And this is, of course, Japan, which
disappeared, but meaning getting smashed to shit by a meteor.
And this is a country with a history of, a tsunami of recently, and of course, Hiroshima. So like
Nagasaki as well.
Yeah, Nagasaki as well. So there's a kind of historical precedent to, like the sense of a place that can
cities can go away.
Yeah, entirely disappear kind of seems connected to it being a Japanese film.
Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful film. This would certainly, if we were to wrap up the year at this moment, this would appear on a top 10 list for me very clearly.
Yeah, 100%.
Matt, well, your final thoughts?
I mean, I agree with everything you sort of said there. I also think... it was nice for me to go see
movie with me.
A anime, a very distinctly Japanese anime film in an American theater.
Okay, you've seen these in Japanese theaters?
No, I haven't seen them in theaters.
Oh, right.
It doesn't happen, and I think that's great that it did. This is sort of a transcendental sort of work for me because now I will look for the director's other stuff and like that doesn't normally happen for me. Right. And I think it does this really good job with treating, again, it's the razor's edge of like explanation versus emotion for this time travel sort of body swap story. I've been thinking about a lot lately just in my own personal life, sort of timelines in general. Okay. Not to get too philosophical on the entire thing, but like, if you believe in sort of the multiverse and whatnot, like every possible scenario, there's a universe where that sort of happens in a thing, right? So
there's a universe where I love the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, there really is. It's pantheistic solipsism, baby. But the thing about it is, it's like, I do believe, and we can get, this is a larger conversation, but like, I do believe that like in our particular timeline that we are in right now, things are set. So,
right.
So anything that's going to happen is going to happen. And this is a nice sort of like, I don't know. It's almost like, and again, I know it's a fictional story and everything, and I know my ideas are very sort of not founded, but it's a nice bucking of that in a way that gets me sort of thinking more about like how, if I am wrong, or B, how I could be wrong. So any film that can challenge, even get me thinking about changing a belief is a strong work in my opinion.
How did it change your belief? Just out of
it's too long ago. We've been going for an hour. It's just I have a whole fucking spiel, and I can tell you about it at a later date, maybe with a different time travel movie, about how there is no such thing as free will, and it all boils down into. I think
this film kind of gets into this idea of love is destiny, which is like a fairly typical thing, but it does it convincingly.
Yeah, which is weird because it doesn't beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just great. It's beautiful, and you should do yourself a favor and see it in the theater before it goes away. You really should. I know it's only in certain cities. It's wider than I thought it was going to be.
It's wider than I thought. It's only made like something in the vicinity of $4.5 million in the US.
Yeah, but it's probably not on a ton of screens either. So I just think like I wish, this is what I wish. I wish that people could get out of their fucking safety zones and like go see something like this in the theater, like regular people that don't see anime a lot. And this is not just for them. And this actually applies. I'm bringing it back full circle because time is a flat circle. Yeah. Actually it's not. But the way that you just recently saw Fate of the Furious, I know you did it for the podcast, but you got out of a comfort zone of not seeing these films. And I think I wouldn't say you classify it as a good movie that you know, whatever, but you enjoyed your time enough in the theater. It's just something that I wish, and I find myself guilty of this when I snap out of it. Just go see films that you wouldn't normally see. Like, and I feel like that's something that especially, God, and now I'm just transcending all this shit. In our current day and age with our sort of political climate and all this shit, like just go learn some shit or feel some shit that you don't normally feel and just buck your fucking expectations.
If we're going to get into an argument, I think we're going to get into it now as we're wrapping up the episode. The only thing I would say about that is I feel like what you just said is a little, and I say this with all due respect, is a little condescending. Because I think the issue here isn't that people aren't willing to jump out of their comfort zone. I think the issue here is that movies are the movies that are accessible to people are generally in their comfort zone. There's a reason why in the United States, The Fate of the Furious opens up on 1 million screens, and a film like this, which is the biggest box office movie in Japan, only opens up on a few. And that has to do with marketing and a perception of what people will ingest.
Sure.
I think the case here is that if people are given the opportunity to ingest this, they will enjoy it.
I see. That's where I disagree. I mean, I agree to a point. Like, I think it's obviously both. Yeah. But people, it's been very proven in even the last 6 months, if people have an idea about a thing, they stick with their ideas about the thing. Like, there's not a lot of converting a person's opinions. And let's just even put this on entertainment. Right. Like, how many people do you know that are just like, I fucking hate country music? Right. And then they're not going to go like seek out country music to try to like country music. They're just going to fucking hate country music. Actually, The Oatmeal just did a really great comic about how our brains are hardwired and why they do it from an evolutionary standpoint and whatnot. People have their beliefs and they're going to stick with them, and even down to entertainment, even down to things in art, life and death, because it runs the same part of your brain as that sort of stuff is. So yes, you are 100% correct, but it is a circle in that problem. It's the marketing companies are believing what people want because that's actually what people are buying, and people are sticking with their shit, and it does come full circle. There's no easy solution other than bust out of your comfort zone. Like, and you have to do it on an individual level. And I know it's not easy. And hopefully, I mean, this movie isn't going to come to a ton of theaters. It's going to go on Netflix, or it's going to go on some streaming service. I hope people find it that way. Right. There's different ways the internet's going to open this up for us, as it's done a lot of stuff. There's just a lot of sort of
I guess I'm just slightly more pessimistic in the role in which people's tastes are shaped by outside forces and manipulated by outside forces. And I think one of the things to me that's very clear is that that's the reason why A Fate of the Furious will get marketed to shit and make a ton of money, is because it's pushed to a lot of people.
But it got that way. It got that way because of people's tastes. It didn't just start there. It's a spiral. It's a downward spiral.
I'm 50-50 on that, because I think people would genuinely like a good thing if they knew what it was, if it was available to them.
But not if they're not trained to experience it.
But they're not trained to experience it because they're not fed a diet that is full and rich.
I understand.
You know what I mean? So,
but it's the chicken or the egg, baby. That's all it is. And
I guess my point is, I think the people that are going to go and find this movie are the kind of people that would go and find this movie.
Yes.
And
I want people to see it that aren't the people that would go and find this movie.
And I think people who wouldn't ordinarily look for this kind of film, like I would not recommend a film like The Salesman, the Asghar Farhadi film, to everyone, because I know that's a harder.
That's a very good point.
Harder sell. Whereas I think this film would be very accessible to people who wouldn't necessarily like The Salesman.
But it's a matter of getting it to them.
It is a matter of getting to them, and you hope that the democratization of just streaming and distribution, as per Netflix and Amazon and Hulu and whatever, hopefully that changes that landscape. And I don't think it does. It's kind of like the Facebook effect, which is that you
sit in your own circles.
Yeah,
I know people that won't watch a cartoon.
Right.
And that's fucking stupid, you dummies. Like,
I don't like it when you say you dummies to these people, because
I don't care. They're dummies. If you are so set in your fucking ways that you can't at least try a different thing.
You're having an argument with people without allowing,
if anyone would like to call and write in, and why not trying a new thing is good, you can email us at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com and talk to me about that. And I'm not talking about like drinking bleach. I'm talking about like experiencing a different form of media or entertainment or culture.
You should write us in at onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com. I think it'll make for an interesting conversation. It's just the way you phrase that. Like,
I'm being harsh. I'm being harsh because I get angry that people are set in ways, and you should just try to learn from all of your everyday experiences and try to have new ones. And this movie was it could be a new one. I
think it's new for us, but the one thing is, it's not new to an entire population around the world. You know what I mean? It's like,
and again, I also want this to go, and like I said before, it should go both ways. Where if, for instance, maybe if you're, I don't know, maybe a super snobby film person on from time to time, and you should go also see dumber movies, because there is intrinsic value in them as well. I want everyone to experience as much of everything as possible, because I think it makes for a better mindscape. It will help the problem that you've described about the studio system sort of only thinking of one sort of thing. I just think it's just try new shit. That's all I'm saying. I'm rambling too much. We gotta go. Shahir, when we're not getting into an argument in the last fucking 10 minutes of a podcast, where can folks find you?
You can find me arguing with myself at shahirdaud.com. That's SHAHIRDAUD. That's got links to all my life works, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Yeah, Matt, how about yourself?
You can find me at Emperor MSK on Twitter, Skeletor, the number 4 PREC on Instagram, or all of my life and works at Matthew Kroll, MATTHEWKROL.com. Also, by the way, I don't know if I've ever pitched this, but I just got a job offer or thing today. I also do voiceover work. You can check me out on my webpage there if you are looking for anyone who sounds like me.
Will you do people's ringtones for like $5 a pop?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do it. Yeah, guys, until next week, we'll see you at episode 102 for a little bit of Guardians of the motherfucking Galaxy Volume 2. I'm so fucking excited.
I am not.
Well, you didn't see that one coming. Body swap. Oh, we should have body swapped.
We should have body swapped for the whole episode.
Be real excited.
I'm really excited. Wait, what's your catchphrase? What is up, Internet?
I hate fun. We'll see you next week.
That's not my catchphrase. That's just how you describe me.
That's how you are.